Gracias, Juan. Hola. It's been too long since I've been out of Moodle Moot in Spain, and I feel bad, but I'm so glad that we're here. So thank you for everybody coming from around Spain to this. I also want to say hello from Barcelona, because Moodle is now also in Barcelona. Here we are in Spain. We have feet on the ground. We have an office. We had a welcome from the mayor, which was very nice. And very interesting to see the follow-ups, because suddenly the politics comes through in the replies. And I want to say, obviously I'm Australian, and that Moodle started in Australia, and I'm not from Barcelona. This is not a case where we're getting involved in some of the things that are happening right now politically, but I will say that the answer to any tricky situation is communication, collaboration, and education. And if there's anything we can do to help people come together, then I think it'll work out. I think things will work out. So our office is right here. We're pretty much right in the middle of the Eixample district there. It's a really nice place. We only opened it on Monday, and we had a dev jam. We had 30 or so people doing development there this week. We're having a fun time. It's a really good place. I want to explain a little bit about the structure of Moodle and how that works. We now have a Moodle Spain, a company called Moodle Spain. There will also be a Moodle US for people working in the US. Moodle Australia is still the headquarters. Most people are in Australia right now, but I think probably this place being what it is, so compatible with us, that this will probably be the biggest office in the future. We also have 90 Moodle partners who are a very big part of our ecosystem. And if you add up all the staff in our partners, that's around 2,500, 3,000 people in the organization. Then we have a large amount of developers in our community who are contributing to Moodle. Some of you are here. Who's got some code in Moodle here? Can I have some hands? Who's got some code in Moodle or a plugin? Moodle plugin? Okay, I can see 15, 20 hands easily. They're all big contributors to the project. And then, of course, we have the users, and we have millions of people who are using Moodle or contributing through documentation or translations or all kinds of training and things like that. And we all need to work together. And the function of, the Moodle core company is to try and bring all that together and be as efficient as we can and as sustainable as we can to produce things that we all need. So this is why we're coming together. Our mission is to empower educators to improve our world. We're very focused on educators specifically, because it comes from an understanding and a philosophy that there's no one tool for everybody in education. Education is often a very local thing, and you need local people to understand the context and deliver things locally and customize things for the local situation. I don't personally like the approach, or I don't see a lot of big success with the approach of one Silicon Valley company producing a curriculum for the world. It's not a good solution. And open source is very good at being a living ecosystem that adapts. So why? Well, there's some statistics. You were talking about some statistics locally here in Barcelona, Francesca, and I really enjoyed your talk, by the way. I knew some of that about Barcelona, but now I'm even more passionate about Barcelona. I love what's going on here. This is really good stuff. On a bigger scale in the world, we have some things that some trends that are looking fairly positive. Only 10% of the world are in extreme poverty now. As to 200 years ago, it was more like 94%. Only 4% of children are dying before the age of 5 now. So, yay us, we're doing better. Still, it's quite a lot of children. 14% of the world don't have even basic education. Democracy, it's about 50-50 now. It was terrific hearing about the participatory democracy and the tools you're building here in Barcelona. That's the kind of thinking we need to do to improve democracy. I think democracy, it's in the model we've had, is not always so great. Voting for one person to represent you isn't the best model. But I think we all agree that citizens should have an impact on their own government. Only 50%. And the UN has identified 17 goals to solve problems like this, but going forward, because there are other issues that we face now that are even worse. These 17 goals are just to make the planet sustainable. Not even, a heaven on earth, just sustainable. So here's a couple of them. So inequality is a big problem, and in some places getting worse. Inequality economically, inequality in gender, inequality in all kinds of places and ways. But in some instances it's getting worse, especially economically. Rich and poor, this divide in most countries is getting wider. Climate change is an ongoing issue that it's only being recognised very, very slowly when it's more urgent than that. Attached to that is food and water security. A lot of, we can have our problems here, but we have very good food and water all around us, and a lot of parts of the world do not. We have 65 million plus people without a country roaming around, refugees. We have issues with data protection and security and ownership and the abuse of that. Look at American politics recently. But these are open issues. They're not all solved. There's a lot of work to do. As we automate our lives, we need to plan for the jobs that are being taken away. If someone's going to be involved in an economy, we can't just replace jobs with machines. We need to keep people involved and sustained. A bit of noise here. I'm going to try and turn this off. Let's see. Healthcare quality. So basic healthcare is not uncommon, but the quality of healthcare can be low, and even in very so-called civilized countries, it can be super expensive and out of reach of people. We have plastic piling up in our environment. We have damage to the environment all around us, and you know all these things, and it can be, maybe it seems boring to point out things that you know, but the fact is, when we're in our own little comfortable environment, we forget and we don't see these things happening. But statistics and science are showing us these things are out there, if you're looking for it. There are big problems to solve. And in my opinion, the one way to solve that is to have these kind of people. There is no world government that says, do this and fix it. We don't have that. That's in science fiction, unfortunately. However, from the ground up, if most people are these kinds of people, they will find solutions. They will find the solutions in the local environment. So if they're globally oriented, if they're thinking about the world, not just their own backyard, if they're multiculturally aware, so if they're aware of different cultures and different ways of speaking and interacting and living, then racism doesn't exist, for example. If you're environmentalist, if you are not caring about the environment in a way that, I'm not going to put my towel on the floor in the hotel room, but thinking deeper, that every action you take has an impact on your environment. Every piece of food you eat, everything you consume is part of the environment. We are part of the environment. We come from the environment. And if you're a caring citizen, if you're a caring person, obviously you're going to be looking for opportunities to help. And if you're a citizen, you're going to regard yourself as someone that's helping in a participatory way. You're helping the people around you as a citizen. So that's what I think we need. We need a lot of people like that. I know for a fact that most of you, all of you are like that because you're here. The number 4 goal is quality education, and quality education is what produces people like that. So not just an engineer in a very narrow focus, or not just somebody who's got a job, but somebody who has a wider appreciation. They're more connected with their environment and connected to everything around them, and they use that job to be part of the society they're in. But all 17 of these are driven by education. You can't fix any of them without education. And so the education, as I'm sure you know, because you're all in education mostly, is the most important thing, in my opinion. So that's why our mission is empowering educators. It's about how can we give educators the tools to do their job really well, the content and all the support they need to do their job and have this effect. So our vision, the way we achieve that is by building a platform for learning. The world's most effective platform for learning. That's our goal. And we do this supported through values. So our 5 values in the Moodle community are education as a value. If you make it a value, it means that every interchange or discussion you're having, you see it as an education opportunity. Right? Openness is very important to us. I don't think most of the solutions are going to come just from governments or just from commercial companies. I think openness as a strategy for software, for standards, for government, for music, everything, is a way to build things that are bigger than this government for 3 years, or bigger than this company which disappears. You're building things for a long term. Integrity is about these kind of high-level things, but bringing them right down to the ground. So living that stuff. Respect, multiculturalism, respect even for competitors, respect for different ways of thinking, and innovation. Everything we try and do is try and allow innovation to occur, exactly what Barcelona's doing now I'm hearing. And this is exactly the strategy, because you cannot plan complexity. I mean, you can support complexity, but you don't know the outcome. You can't. It's going to be more than you planned, and that's a good thing. So Moodle, the project, has been around for 17 years or so. We've been at an inflection point because the way we were running things was not enough, and we are now facing software, the Googles, the Microsofts, there's many very well-funded initiatives happening in the world. And although I love how we were doing things, we need to do it better and faster and stronger. And so I had been looking for the last 2 years on studying how we're going to change. We're at this point of decision-making, changing how we do things. And this is who we're doing it for. We have 104,000 registered sites around the world. And look at that, Spain has the second most, just in raw numbers, the second most number of registered Moodle sites in the world. There are many Moodle sites that are not registered because it's a button you have to press. But the population of Spain is much less than the population of the US. When you look at these numbers by population, Spain is the largest serious country for Moodle. Well, we've got Andorra. That's a serious... Anyone from Andorra? I'm sorry if I've just insulted Andorra. But that's very close to here. And Andorra is, by population, the most Moodle-y country in the world. But yes, Spain. So we feel a great responsibility to improve. Our organisation is one of service. We are trying to serve educators. So it's time to actually really make Moodle an amazing thing. It's a picture of some bamboo that I took in Japan. It was quite amazing. So the first thing I did was try and look at our funding and our revenue. And I spent a long time. I must have talked to 50 investors. And as soon as they started talking about when they get their returns and blah, 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 I said, no, I'm not interested. We finally found an investor last year who we really like. It's a French family, the Leclerc family. And they have an organisation called Decathlon. They make sports gear. And if you look into their mission and the way they operate, it's not what you think. Like their mission is health for the many. The way they run that organisation really impressed me, and the culture of that was very compatible with us. And they came on board, joined with us to help support us, and they're going to be around for a long time. And since they've joined in September, it's been fantastic, really very good. So they're giving us the support we need to open offices in Barcelona, for example. So let's make it really amazing. So at the beginning of this year, we now have a little funding. We have these plans. Let's gather our plans and work on a very tight strategy. What are we going to do? And so we decided on 8 major goals. And I just want to take you through them so you can understand everything you see on this conference or coming from Moodle in the next years. It will be tied to this. This is the bones of what we're doing. So number 1, our first goal is to improve the quality of teaching practice. This is obviously directly connected to those UN sustainable goals. If we aren't improving the quality of teaching, then we're not doing what we should be. So our first big initiative is something that's been wanting to happen for a while. And this is to recreate a curriculum to teach teachers how to teach online. And it's not just Moodle, it's how to teach online using current technologies and pedagogies and techniques. There are 22 modules in this curriculum that we've built, and you can see some of them, you can see them all here. So there's things, they're basically arranged into 4 main categories: the designing of your situation, how you guide students, how you connect students to enable collaborative learning and all sorts of collaboration. And finally, reflection and assessment, and how do you do that stuff at the end so people come out of the situation with what they need. And these 22 modules, which are being developed, will be translated into lots of languages. Spanish is first. They're going to be delivered through Moodle partners. You get badges for these each of the 22 modules. And if you do any 6, you can apply to get a Moodle Educator Certificate, so get a certification. And we have other certificates coming later on, but that's the initial structure. So that'll be available later this year. It's being worked on now. We've been starting to test it with our partners and revise it and work on the content, and it's coming together. And I'm really looking forward to this being available. There's not a specific session on this, but there are, so Mary Cooch is doing a workshop on collaborative learning on Friday, 10:30, but actually there's a few workshops on Friday that are all about learning Moodle. So if you're interested in getting into that with everyone, Friday is the place to be. The second thing under the quality is, how do we measure quality in education? Because we can't say we're improving quality unless we're measuring it. And this is a very difficult problem. There's a lot of research, and this is something we're starting to engage our community on, including here, and I'm very interested in your thoughts if you've done work on this. How can we measure the quality? How can we say this was the situation before, and Moodle was implemented, and quality was either increased or decreased? How can we measure those things? Goal number 2. improving our reach worldwide. Now, we are very worldwide. Moodle's in every country, but it's more, again, about the quality of that. So Moodle Core, the main Moodle software, is 155 language translations done by the community, which is more than any other education software that I've ever seen. Our Moodle documentation is in 13 languages. But our major information, our Moodle.com website, our press releases, a lot of that stuff is not fully translated every time, because that's quite a lot of work, and we haven't really had the resources to do that. So that's a goal of ours, is to work on that and make that really part of our system, so we're just broadcasting and listening continuously in as many languages as we can. We have 6 major languages to start with, including Spanish, of course, Portuguese, Arabic. I can't remember the other ones right now. So that's something we're working on. Our team is fairly multinational. We obviously have the big office now in Barcelona. We have the office in Perth, and people scattered everywhere else. This is a good strength for us. One reason why we are here in Barcelona, apart from Barcelona being amazing, and Spain being amazing, is its proximity to Europe. Europe has a lot going on in our space with Moodle, with funding from the EU, with projects and things that are happening. And also it's a connection for us to South America, where you can see we have no one. And we need to have more activity there, because in South America, most countries are like here. 90% of institutions are using Moodle. And that energy needs to be closer to our project. We're also deliberately making more partnerships with NGOs and international government organisations, United Nations, UNESCO. We were at UNESCO a couple of months ago, having a very interesting time. We're working with Save the Children on some projects in Bangladesh and so on. These are all education projects that are using Moodle anyway, but Moodle itself was never involved. So us being involved means we can use that funding for the project to produce better code for everybody. We're also starting a Moodle Foundation in Brussels, and this will be a vehicle for interacting with funding bodies and research in particular, around research. Again, many research projects around Europe use Moodle, and they get funding for 3 years, and they build something with Moodle, and at the end of 3 years, there's no ongoing maintenance of this thing, and it disappears, and it's a complete waste of public money. If we can be involved and say, let's make this project part of core, Moodle core, something that gets sustained by the community, then that funding has contributed to something that's going to be around for 10 years or 20 years. It's a much better situation for everyone. Now, number 3 is very important to us, because you can't do anything without a really good crew. Sometimes we refer to Moodle as a ship, sometimes a pirate ship, but it's a lovely big orange ship. But as you get more people on board who are new, you need to get more intentional about the culture of an organisation, and how do you make that a really great place to work. And we've been doing a lot of work and thinking about how we do that to make it a place that all of us really want to work, and that new people want to work there too. And we're going through a process of every year measuring ourselves through an external body to see how good we are as a place to work. There's a lot of factors in here and things we're doing that I won't go into now because of time, but by doing this, we're being very intentional about improvement. Number 4, we want to maximize the connections in the community. We have had Moodle.org as our major community place since the beginning. And this is a Moodle site, of course, and it's been a big factor in Moodle's spread, I would say. But it's not really very modern in how things work now. And using Moodle, which is meant for very specific learning situations, to support millions of people is not the most efficient thing to do. So we're looking at this. We also have the Moodle Users Association, which is an association of users that pay membership fees. The fees go into a bucket. I presume it's a bucket. I haven't seen their office. And this money is chosen by the members. They have a process of deciding projects to spend it on, core development projects. And there's some members of the Moodle Users. Who's in the Moodle Users Association here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Richard Sampson down there. About 10 people here. It's good. Is there a session on this, Richard? Are you talking about it? When is it? Later today, about 5 o'clock, especially if I keep talking too long. Might be later. We also have Moodle Moots. We have 20 or so major Moodle conferences around the world. Moodle headquarters, we run more and more of them. We are running this one, for example. And it's not even on the map, actually. I just realized. Sorry about that. But we are getting more intentional with how we run them to make them more consistent, to make them more connected. Now, all of these things that are happening for the community now are great, but they're old and they're not so connected. They're different things. We have a new initiative to replace some of that and to bring it all together. It's called MoodleNet. So MoodleNet is a social network for educators, specifically for educators. I don't really want to encourage people to go and do all their stuff on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or anything. We are trying to build something that's open, that's trustworthy, that's transparent, and that is custom designed for educators. It will replace Moodle.org forums eventually. It will be integrated with Moodle sites. So your Moodle site and your devices can be connected through MoodleNet. And there's two main things that you do in there. Firstly, you find other educators like yourself. So you find groups of people who are interested in teaching the same subject in the same language at the same level. And secondly, you curate content together. So you collect content from around the place, the best practice. You also work together to create new content, like a Kickstarter model, where we're crowdfunding the development of new Creative Commons content. And you can be on your mobile and flipping through your feed and go, oh, this would be great in my course. And you go share, boop, now it's in your course on your Moodle site. And so that way we connect things together and we give everybody the support they need. Because most teachers, when they start, they face a blank page. You know, not everybody wants to be a textbook writer. So there is a session about this with the MoodleNet team who are all here, Doug Belshaw and Mayel, Thursday, 10:30. Goal number 5. We want our products to be feature competitive. We don't want people choosing Moodle because of philosophy or open source or things like that. It's great if you do, but I would much rather people chose Moodle just because of features. It's simply the best thing, right? I think we all want that. Why not get both? As I say usually often when I'm getting dessert in a restaurant. It's not true. So we have our open source team. By far the majority of Moodle headquarters is the developers around the open source team. So it's all of our core developers, integrators who take code from the community and put it into the core products. There's a lot of testing and QA. Got one integrator sitting at the front here. Anyone else? 2. Andrew's here, sometimes integrates. Yes, there we go. Testers, UX people, documenters, and so on. Mary's down here who does all those videos, the release videos for each new release. So talk to Mary. I'm sure a lot of you know Mary. This group, until recently, never really had one person looking after it all. It was kind of me, and I was doing a lot of other things as well. and it wasn't really very effective. So we now have a new coordinator for the whole open source team. His name's Sonder. He looks like that, and he's around here somewhere. Where are you, Sonder? Is he in here? Not in here at the moment. Well, you can catch him a bit later on. There's a session. I've got the time later. We've also changed our development strategy with that team in that the last few years, all developers were working on everything. So we had a system where you would work on this, and then you'd work on that, and you'd work on that. We're changing that back to the old model, how Moodle started actually, where people are more responsible for particular components. So there's someone who's really into quiz, there's someone who's really into forum, there's someone who's more responsible. And this should lead to a better flow and a development in all the plugins, or the components that we call them. So Moodle 3.5 was the latest release. I'm not going to go into detail because there's a session later. But the GDPR, it's not called GDPR here, but the data privacy compliance was basically the most of what we did. It's super important to solve all these privacy issues and conform with that regulation, which is good regulation. And I love how Europe has forced the world to do this. Because even though we all believed in that stuff, it's so hard to say, okay, we're not going to make new features for a while, we're just going to focus on privacy. It's not sexy, it's not fun to do. And the way Europe has kind of forced all software companies to do this, I love it. That's how I want the world to work. So we had to do that too, and we spent a lot of effort to do that. Question bank tagging, Bootstrap 4, so the themes, the look of Moodle is improved, and for themers it's better, and some dashboard stuff. There is a session just about Moodle 3.5 Wednesday, today? Yeah, soon. That's where Sonder is probably finishing his presentation. We have a new process for our roadmaps. So again, in the past, we had input from the community through our tracker. We had input from Moodle partners. And we had internal input from our own people who are saying this is not working, this needs fixing, and so on. That's what made our roadmap. But the process was a little random. Not random, it was just not clear. So we would sit in a room, we'd look at all the stuff and we'd go, yeah, it's time to do that. Yes, it's time to do this. It wasn't transparent. So we only just started this just from last month. A new process, which actually reminds me a little bit of what I just saw from Francesca's thing, where you've got citizens suggesting doing project proposals, right? And then their ranking. That's what we're doing. We have a ranking procedure on project proposals that come in from all these sources, and we have somebody who's in charge of that, somebody who just manages that process to make sure it happens. And they're going to be publishing to everybody and explaining what's going on, and it'll be a lot more transparent. In Moodle Mobile 3.4, it's our app. That was last year. We achieved 100% support for core features in the app. So students who are just using Moodle, plain Moodle, can just use the app. In Moodle 3.5, there's, as well as a lot of stuff, there is a new interface. But our focus now is on how do we get all of the other plugins in the community working on the mobile app. Because we truly want the app to be where, you never need to leave the app. And the new app for 3.5 was released last night, I think it came through on Apple this week. There's going to be a lot more information about that, but you can see it already looks a lot nicer. It's had a real upgrade in functionality for developers. It's a lot easier for developers to extend it and add functionality to it. And it's just generally a much better tool for your students and teachers. We also have a branded mobile app. So we can make a version of the app for your institution that looks and is named like your institution. Your students go to the App Store, they search for your institution, they download your app. It's much more transparent and better than downloading a Moodle app that's orange icon and then having to connect to their site manually and things like that. So we offer this service. I'm saying, I think, are you going to talk more about that, Juan? Good. We also now have a desktop app. So it's similar to the mobile app, but it runs on a desktop. It has the same features as the app, which is works offline. You can download all your courses onto your device, work offline, and then forum posts, quiz questions, everything goes back later when you have internet. So Wednesday, 13:30. Is it you, Juan? I think so. It's your session. Juan is the lead of the mobile team. All right, we're nearly there. 8 goals. We've got a lot of work, right? So number 6, our Moodle services. So while open source allows everybody to do their own, to look after their own sites, it takes work. Maintaining any software is work. And people don't always want to do it themselves. Sometimes they just want to pay someone to do it or help them with it. So that's our Moodle partners. That's why we have 90 of them around the world doing that stuff. That's the fundamental part of our business model, how it works. So we are working internally to do better support for our partners, to work closer with them on projects. We're improving Moodle Cloud, which is our central hosting service, to make it work better with the whole ecosystem. And we are managing some large commercial projects. There are some very large education projects around that individual partners can't normally handle on their own. So we're building up capability to be able to work on those. I'm talking about Ministry of Education level, whole country platforms, that sort of stuff. These are the 4 Moodle partners in Spain. And I encourage you, if you are doing any services or getting support or consulting or training, you go to our Moodle partners in Spain. And they're all here at this conference, so you can find them. Moodle Cloud, I'm going to rush through this a bit, but Moodle Cloud, we're now at about 25,000 Moodle sites on that system. It's evolving and getting better all the time. We're starting to add the ability to have integrations, so you can get new integrations for your site. We also recently removed advertisements from the free sites, which is something I always hated. And we just did it to try it out, really, and it's just not worth it. Just much better to be rid of it. So instead, buy a Moodle Cloud site or something, or go and talk to a Moodle partner. Number 7, this is a dirty word in open source. It's the word sell and marketing. So as idealistic people, we don't like to be talking about marketing all the time, and that was one reason why I outsourced all the business to Moodle partners in the first place. Let them do all the selling while we just do all the R&D with all our developers and have fun doing that. But that's not how things work the most effectively. We have to be more consistent as a brand. We have to be stronger as the Moodle Orange, and a lot of what you'll see happening is about us being more clear as a product, as a solution to people, explaining what open source is and how it's good for them, and helping. So we can't achieve our mission unless we're actually, the products and things we make are getting into people's hands, and that's effectively selling and marketing. So we're improving how we're talking about things, but also how our products work together. See, right now, if you had never heard of Moodle, you might go, oh, Moodle, yeah. I'll go and try that out. So you go on an app store, and you get the Moodle app, and you download it, and it says, oh, connect to your Moodle site. And you go, well, I don't have a Moodle site. I just heard about Moodle. I thought it was an app. And you're stuck. But what we could do at the beginning there is start explaining and educating people, well, to use Moodle, you need a site somewhere, a central place. And you can get it on Moodle Cloud for free, or through a partner, or you can download it and set it up yourself, and we can explain this stuff. And so this way, all the products sell each other, if you see what I mean. The whole goal, number 8, the whole point of all of this is to be sustainable. a lot of my problem with the Silicon Valley approach to software development is sometimes that sustainability seems to be a bit of an afterthought, or it's just, it's a machine designed to produce cash and profit, right? For us, this is not profit-focused. Moodle is a purpose-focused organization. But we have to have revenue. We have to be sustainable. If you look into nature and you see animals and trees, they're all finding ways to be sustainable and to live in the ecosystem. Moodle has to do that without depending on government funding, or which we never have, without depending on rich people giving money to the project, which disappears. It's got to be living on its own. It's got to be a sustainable project. And so all the things I just showed you are how we're doing it. Moodle is sustainable. It's here. But we want to be sustainable at a much higher level, a much bigger organization producing fantastic software successfully, and is a great place to do it. So we're busy. How can I help, you're saying right now? I can hear it underneath all the translating. Well, you consider this branded mobile app. Go to Juan's thing and look into it, because it is a very good experience for students. And we maintain it for you, look after it. Join the Moodle Users Association. It can cost as little as €60 a year, or you can pay €6,000 a year. But the more you pay, the more influence you have over the projects that are decided. You have more votes. If you're doing research in online learning, use Moodle for the research and try and share that research. And you can actually use the Moodle community to do better research. If you want to try and study something, if you make a piece of software to implement that project and distribute it to the community and ask them to collect all that data, you can collect data from around the world very easily. Are you involved in grant funding for Moodle projects? Just talk to us. Don't go ahead and just do it on your own. We can actually make it a more successful project. You'll have a better proposition on your grant proposals. Do you need a quick, small Moodle site? Just use Moodle Cloud. We run it for a reason. It's to help people get into Moodle to use it. Sorry, I can't really see it very clear, but it's Moodle Cloud. If you need any services, hosting, please use Moodle Partners, because a proportion of what you pay them comes to us and pays for the development. Did any of that make an idea? Did you think of something? Did you think, yeah, I want to be involved, or that doesn't make sense? Or just talk. We have 27 of Moodle headquarters here this week. A lot of it. We're everywhere. Actually, can all the Moodle HQ people in the room just stand up and wave your hands a little bit? All right, so these folks here, we're all here. Just, grab us. Over half of us speak Spanish. So, yeah, get involved. We're here. That's what we're here for. We're actually here to listen to what your ideas are, as much as tell you what we're doing. Maybe you want to join us, be part of the team. Maybe that conversation could be about that, because we are hiring. If you really believe in what I'm just talking about, and you want to get involved, talk to us. This comes together in just one little phrase here I just want to put out there, that if you're supporting open projects, you are indirectly, I believe, helping UN sustainability goals. Because open projects, like I said, they're bigger than a company, bigger than a government. They are the kinds of initiatives that can do the best good in the world. And lastly, that's our objective, right? All of us in our institutions and our own places, this is what we're trying to produce, I hope. So I hope you all agree. Anybody agree with that? Can I have some hands and agree with that? All right. That's at least 50% of you. It's not bad. So that's me. I'll thank you very much. Gracias.